Hello, my friends. Kind of just very quickly want to share kind of a message slash dream that I was given last night. It applies to directly where we're walking right now. I wouldn't even explain it or try to share anything to do with it, but I get the feeling that it meant something more imminently, something more important than many of the dreams that I usually would have. Just because of the signs of the times. I mean, increasing signs of the times. You know why signs are given? Signs are given for the unbelievers. Signs are given for those who do not know God, or those who have a form of godliness but deny thereon his power. They're given to those like the Jews, the Christians. They're given to those of the world who don't know. Signs, signs, signs. They all talk about signs. That's how you know why they're given. Every single one of them, day after day after day, repeatedly in the same message, like a regurgitating dog eating food and returning back to his vomit to vomit again. They talk about signs. And signs are important in a sense of a matter that you can get a time frame of them. That is why signs were used. Remember the signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars? What were they for? They were for like a time clock. Like I can look at the clock right now and tell you it's 10:07. Whenever I see certain signs, I know, oh yeah, it's getting closer to that hour that I'm looking for. That's why signs are given to those who believe. It's like a clock. We keep time as human beings. Time is important to us. Time is also important to God, as everything that God does is based off of his own time. Trying to recognize that time is what the watchmen do. Day in and day out, we try to recognize that time when the thief is coming to break in. That's what time means and what time matters. But they take signs and they worship the signs because they worship the woman who produced the signs. They love the world, they love the God of the world and the things of the world. So thus they're like that regurgitating dog, constantly talking about the signs. They're like the person who looks up at the sky and knows it's about to rain, but they don't know why the rain's coming or who's bringing the rain. That's what all of these ones are like. And it's not to put them down because they're necessary. It's necessary to know what time we're in, else we don't know how to prepare. And that's likened to how we prepare in the world. If we know, based upon all of the things that Jesus spoke of that would happen at the end, that are talking about his return, if we see literally every single one of those things he said happening, manifesting, like we can just check them off like a box, then we know, okay, well, we don't need to prepare as our ancestors prepared, because we're living in the times that Jesus is coming back, who brings with him the new kingdom. We're not going to build it ourselves. He brings it with him. So if I know he's coming back based off of what he said, and I believe that, my preparation is going to be a lot different than my ancestors' preparation if I have faith. So I'm not going to go and, build up a bunker and store it with 27 years of food and all these other things. Because I love God, means I have love in my heart, which means I love my family, which means I recognize the struggle of the flesh in the world. I will have prepared at my house at any given moment anything I need to sustain me and my family for anything common to man. That's what it means to be prepared. What's common to man? You got a power outage. You have a storm that comes by and knocks down the power lines. You're going to be sitting for a couple of days unable to move. If you got a big snowstorm, anything like that, you're going to need to be able to sustain the flesh for a shorter period of time. That's what it means to prepare when you know that Jesus is coming, because you don't know what hour he's coming, but you're going to be prepared for the things common to man already, because you already know him, and he will prepare those things common for man ahead of time for you. But you don't go past that. When you go past that, it leads down to showing your lack of faith in him and what he said. Because if you believed him, then you wouldn't be preparing for 27 years out, because you know you ain't going to reach 27 years. Because he has a specific certain window that he has to fill everything into. If this wasn't the case, he would have stayed a lot longer than 3 years whenever he came before he was crucified. But that's how long it took. He went into ministry, and about 3 years later, he was put on the cross. Meaning that the time that you recognize he's coming back, it doesn't tarry beyond things common to men. So you don't need to do all of that other stuff that the buyers and sellers are trying to lie to you to profit themselves in order to gain for themselves. You don't need to do the things that they're saying of. Be prepared for the things common to man, and let God do his own works. Now, with all of that being said, because it was kind of a question, it's been brought up to me many different times. that people all listen to these people who talk about being prepared for everything. You can't be prepared for the storm that is coming. Nobody will survive it outside of God. Outside of being in Christ, no one will survive this storm. The world is being destroyed. It's being melted. It's being burnt by fire. It's being created new. You're not going to survive no matter how much grain you've stored in your barn that the moths will eat. You're not going to survive it by that way. The only way is to survive it through Him. So on to the dream then, and why I believe it's going to be significant. In this dream, first off, there was a whole first half to this dream, but I'm not even really going to share that because it was speaking to something different. But the part that I'm going to speak about was the part that I was in a house. It was fortified like a safe, and the top opened up in the house. It was like a hatch, and coming down out of this hatch was a rope that was given to me, and I came up the rope, and there was a woman, an Asian woman. The woman that I recognized was actually Filipino. She was from the Philippines. So I recognize exactly what it means when I would see her. It means something that's in the Pacific, something that's Asian that I'm looking for. And playing on a radio that she was carrying around, it was like a CB radio, they were talking about the war and how the demilitarized zone, how conflict and fighting has broke out in that demilitarized zone. And I heard the initials NK. So immediately I'm kind of getting the recognition that we're speaking of the North Korean demilitarized zone. And that war had broken out there, and there was a call to every one of the people who were abroad that belonged to that nation to return back to that nation. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get in after that point because the war is about to break out there. So seeing this and recognizing this woman, she tells me that we need to go to this demilitarized zone so that I can drop her off so that she can get back to her country. And the only way to get there is to walk at night through the forest, go into the water, but stay up out of the water high enough so that the submarines below cannot see you and come up and kill you. And then once we get to the other side of that water, then she will go off to her nation and I will go back the way that I came. That was the extent of this. Lots of other things happening to it, but I don't believe that it's speaking exactly what I want to speak here. What I believe I've seen is you're about to see the Pacific begin to heat up in everything that's going on there. You're going to start to see North Korea versus South Korea heat up. You're about to see China versus all the other nations that obviously they're going for. But what I'm kind of saying with this is all these Asian nations now, you're going to start to see them go in high gear towards war. And eventually that war is going to break out. And that war, whenever it comes, it starts localized, it starts small, but it gradually explodes into the war that we know as World War III. And I'm beginning to see that you're going to see signs happen there first before you would even see them in the West. You're going to see these zones where there's supposedly peace between the zones. You're going to see that bridge be broken. Some kind of events are going to happen there. China and Taiwan, of course, being the most easy to see of that, as everybody's expecting China to invade Taiwan. Everybody's expecting war between North and South Korea. Those things are one thing, and there's going to be something that is between those nations, some kind of event that leads to an escalation. And all of this, I believe, happens at the same time. You're going to see this escalation. You're going to see the escalation as all the enemies are now surrounding America, and within America, as we've let them all in. All of America is ready to be destroyed like a fattened calf. And that is what America is, by the way. If you really look at it, America consumes more goods than all of the other nations put together in the world. So what all the other nations do is ship milk, essentially, to the fattened calf that is America, and the fattened calf drinks the milk. That's the whole economy of the world right there. America holds the whole thing up. And it's spoken of in Revelation 17:18. She leads the whole world astray to her riches because she is who the whole world sells their goods to and she consumes, like that fattened calf. But whenever it's time to slaughter that fattened calf, no more goods are sent once that calf is slaughtered. It's exactly the time period that we live in. And whenever this breaks out, there's also going to be a great earthquake happen. And you're going to see signs in the heavens. And then there's going to be a rescue of those who have stored away the pearl in the barn instead of the things of the world. And then all of these things that happen in the Great Tribulations begin in that moment. It's like one and the same day, the same hour, this whole event kicks off. And to have that kind of a dream last night, to understand the necessity that this isn't something that I'm going to have to wait around to watch happen. It's going to be coming right now, soon. I understand that we're so close to that third woe finally kicking off. That period of pause is down to its final gasps of breath. And we're all about ready to see these things that we've been talking about for the last 10 years begin to play out in front of our very eyes. God bless.